Hi friends, welcome back, or if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be giving a pattern review of the McCalls M8256, which is a learn to sew pattern. So it's a level 1 pattern designed for your beginners and your advanced beginners. So before I get into the pattern review, I want to give a special thanks to Morex for sponsoring me the fabric that I used to make this garment. So throughout the video, you'll see this beautiful fabric. I'll talk a little bit about the fabric, but if you're interested in the fabric or fabrics that's similar to this fabric, go ahead, check my description box below. You'll see a link to morexfabrics.com. You could go over there and see all the different fabrics that they have, including this fabric here. I also will put a discount code in my description box as well, so you could use the discount if you decide to purchase you some fabrics. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into the video, and I'm going to give you a pattern review of the McCalls M8256. So the McCalls M8256, again, is a learn to sew pattern designed for your beginners and your advanced beginners. You have 4 different variations of what is a peasant top. It has gathers around the neckline, and you're going to be placing a band on top of those gathers, which I think is really fun. You also have sleeve variations, so you can do a version without sleeves, a version with a flutter sleeve, a version with a long sleeve, and then a 3/4 length sleeve with an elastic band. The long sleeve also have an elastic band in the cuff as well, or it's not a cuff, but it's at the lower edge of the sleeve. You will be making a channel and feeding elastic through that channel at the lower edge of the sleeve. So views B and D both have elastic in them. Again, view C is a flutter sleeve, so you're just finishing off the end of your sleeve using, I believe they call for a 5/8 of an inch hem. And then again, view A, you don't have a sleeve. So this pattern comes in sizes extra small to 2XL. Now on the back of the envelope for body measurements, that is a size 4 to a size 26. The fabric suggestions are cotton lawns, cotton blends, poplin, and stable knit fabrics. Now you'll notice that I have a drapier fabric here, and I used a rayon jacquard fabric. So you can play with that, but I wouldn't suggest that for beginners. So I wouldn't recommend using a rayon or slinky type fabric, especially if this is your first time making a pattern like this. I would say stick to the suggestions. I would even say make sure that you use a cotton or some type of stable fabric, because, you know, this is a pattern that has a lot of gathers around the neckline. And so you don't want to be turned off by the pattern or turned off by sewing if this is your first time and you choose a rayon. So just keep that in mind. I did use a rayon fabric. I didn't stick to the suggestions on this envelope, but I am a little bit more skilled, and so that's why I decided to try it and try to, you know, play with a different type of fabric and see what the effects would be. The pattern also calls for, in terms of your notions, you will need a half an inch wide single fold bias tape for view A if you do the sleeveless version. So that's how you're going to finish off the raw edges around the arm side. And then you would need for view B 1 yard of a 1 inch wide elastic band. For view D, you would need a 3/4 yard of 3/8 of an inch wide elastic. So that's for the long sleeve version. You're using a slimmer elastic band. But for the version that I did, which is version B, it's a wide elastic. So I believe I did a 3/4 inch wide. I felt like 1 inch was a little bit too big, and I went with, I think it's either a 3/4 inch or a half an inch wide. So I didn't want it to be too wide, but I do like the way that it turned out. So maybe next time I'll try the white elastic. So the variation that I chose is, like I said, I chose view B. So that's the 3/4 length sleeve with the wide elastic. And I chose a size small, which is 45 inches for the bust. Even though the sleeve is very wide and the sleeve pattern is very wide, it's still just very, very big. It's a big pattern. And so just keep that in mind that you might have to go a size or two down. Like I said, I'm usually choosing like a size 20 or 22. And that's usually anywhere between a large and an extra large. And so I chose a size small. So that's quite a significant drop. So I went about 2 sizes down in order to get the top that I wanted. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you are someone who usually choose a size small, you might need to go down to an extra small, or you might even have to grade the pattern down even further, which they don't have a pattern for anything smaller than an extra small. So just keep that in mind if you are more petite or smaller, that you might not be able to make this pattern in your size without doing some alterations. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because this is a pattern that is classified for beginners and advanced beginners. And so if you're not someone who want to get into sizing or grading or anything like that, you might want to make sure that you measure your pattern pieces and all that stuff before you get into the projects, because it is a pattern that has a lot of ease. So the only issue I had with this pattern is with the neck binding or the neck band. This band is a little bit too big for my neckline, and because of that I had some gaping. I fixed it by folding over my band in the front, tucking it under and stitching it in place, and then to hide it I actually put a bow on the front. I just didn't want to go into drafting another band and making another band. It would have been easy to do it, but I just didn't feel like doing it at the time, so I didn't do it. So this was my alternative to doing that. So just keep that in mind, that your neck binding might be a little bit gapey, and so you might have to make adjustments to that. You could either do the method that I did, or you could actually take out an inch. I calculated it and it's about an inch too long. So you can actually take out an inch and put that around your neckline. Now that is for the size small. I don't know if the neck binding will be the same for other sizes. And then also you have to keep in mind that everyone's neckline is different, and so your neckline might be an inch wider than mine, or it might be even shorter than mine, or it might be the same width or whatever. So you also have to keep that in mind, that it could be my neckline, and that's why you have that gaping. So but other than that, I found the pattern very easy to make up. I made one other adjustment to the pattern, and that was I lengthened the pattern by 1.5 inches. And that's just because I wanted to have the garment fall below my hips a little bit. And so the pattern does not naturally fall below your hips. It actually sits more at the high hip, or I should say the mid hip. But again, I added 1.5 inches so that it can drop a little bit below my hip. It's not a significant change. However, I like it better, because then when I'm raising my arms, I don't have to worry about my shirt pulling up too far. So that was just a preference that I have made, just something that I wanted. I didn't need to lengthen it. And in fact, I might go back and shorten it again. But yeah, that is something that to keep in mind, that it's not the length that you actually see on my body is not the length of the actual garment. I lengthen mine by 1.5 inches. And again, it's not that I need it to, it's more of a preference. You don't have to lengthen it. I think it would be just fine. I think on most people, it actually will fall in the mid thigh, maybe even the higher thigh, depending on how short or tall you are. It might vary just a little bit, but not by much. So overall, I think that this is a beautiful pattern. I would definitely recommend it to beginners and advanced beginners. But again, I would say stick to your lawns, your cotton blends, and your cotton type fabrics, just simply because if this is your first time, you want to make sure that you're working with a stable fabric. So in terms of the fabric that I used, again, this fabric is sponsored by Morex. Make sure you check the description box below. I really love it. It's a gray fabric that has a floral print going throughout the fabric, and you have some pink petals and some cream and white petals and some, I think it's either a marigold type color or a mustard color. It's just a really fun print. I really like it. And I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this top. I'm really happy that I was able to make this top. So anyway, thank you all for stopping by and tuning in to today's pattern review. If you've made this pattern before, let us know in the comment section below. If you ran into any problems, let us know in the comment section below. And also, if you don't mind, let us know the size that you chose, so that way it gives us an idea if it's a recurring issue with all sizes or just a few sizes or whatever. So anyway, I would really appreciate your thoughts and see what your experience was like when you sewed this pattern. All right, everyone, thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope you all had fun with this video. If you did, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and I hope you all have a happy and blessed sewing week. Until next time, stay creative, my friends. Bye.